The Bosnian Beast is back on a new contract. What's going on, Blazer fans? Welcome back to another player preview in a series of videos where I preview Portland Trail Blazers players for next season. We're almost done with this series. I'm going to try and finish things up today, so there's a bunch of uploads for you to check out. If you missed any uploads, check out the player preview playlist linked in the description box below. Also, I have a pre-season preview dropping soon, so stay tuned for that. And let's talk Bosnian Beast. I can't believe Jusuf Nurkic has already spent 6 seasons in a Blazer uniform, as he was traded to Portland at the 2017 trade deadline. Nurkic has established himself as a mainstay as the starting center in Portland as long as he's been healthy. Of course, he dealt with a broken leg and then a fractured wrist 2 seasons ago, but last season he was relatively healthy. He didn't deal with any significant injuries until the Blazers started tanking, and then he had plantar fasciitis, but who knows if that was actually a real thing or not. The Blazers successfully tanked. And in last season, Nurkic played in 56 games, averaging 28 minutes per game and 15 points, 11 rebounds, and almost 3 assists, while shooting 53.5% from the field, including a career-high 56% from 2 and 27% from 3 on 1 attempt per game. Now let's talk about his offensive game, and my opinions on it, and how it might function for the Blazers next season. Now, it's crazy to me how Jusuf Nurkic got more heat than ever last season for his lack of finishing, despite his finishing being a career best 56% from 2. The highest he had previously shot was the season prior, which he shot 52.5%, so that's almost a 4 percentage point increase, and that was without his main table setter and pick and roll partner in Damian Lillard for a good portion of his time last season. I understand why Blazer fans get frustrated with some of his finesse little flip shots, and they want him to take it strong to the rim. He's nicknamed the Bosnian Beast. They want him to beast on defenders and get frustrated when he doesn't, but he finished at a career rate last year. This year, it's going to be interesting to see how he follows that up. I think he could honestly get easier shots on the interior with all the playmaking the Blazers have. And of course, he also has Damian Lillard back, and I believe Anthony Simons will be a good pick and roll partner for Nurk as well. Nurkic had a really good end to his season last year where the Blazers were winning games, playing Chauncey ball. It's curious to see if the team fully adopts the identity that Chauncey Billups wants for it, and if they do, it'll be interesting to see how that affects Nurkic's style of play. Nurkic never seemed like a fan of Terry Stotts, the previous head coach, and then last season the Blazers didn't really fully embrace Chauncey Billups' vision for them, which resulted in some trades, but at the end of his season, when he was playing next to Josh Hart and Justice Winslow and others, Nurkic was very solid. As in February, he averaged almost 18 points per game, 13 boards, and 4 assists, while also shooting 5 for 10 from 3. His finishing wasn't quite as good, but I'm not too worried about that this year. And in regards to his finishing, there's 2 different main ways in which he gets the ball down low. That's in the post, and that's just off dump-off passes or passes to him cutting across the paint, etc. Nurkic didn't grade out as the best post-up player last year. I believe there's mismatches that you can feed him the ball and he can have some success against, and when big men are in opposing foul trouble, I would like to feed Nurkic in the post a little bit more. But over the course of the game, I don't think it's a situation where you need to be feeding Nurkic in the post a whole lot. I actually like Nurkic functioning within the flow of an offense that moves the ball, where he can kind of function as a cog in that, is somebody that can make the right pass and make reads quickly. And then he can get some finishes around the rim off that ball movement where he's not just trying to back down a defensive player. I feel like that's where a lot of his flip shots come, and I honestly think he's a better finisher when he's able to receive a pass and go towards the rim. A lot of times that will be on a pick and roll. I think having Damian Lillard back this season will help him maybe set another career high from 2. In this season, I plan on making somewhat regular analytics videos where I take a look at things such as Nurkic's finishing in the post and on the pick and roll and that sort of thing, and kind of gauge where he's having success finishing the ball and then bringing that to you guys. Also, it would be nice if Nurkic Nurkic finally became a floor spacer that would make things easier on the entire offense if he could pop out for three, especially if he plays some time with a questionable shooter such as a Justice Winslow or maybe a Gary Payton II if his shooting last year was a bit of a fluke. And he ended last season very solid from three, looked comfortable from three. He's just teased us with glimpses of a three-point shot that's never developed into anything consistent. So I don't know whether or not to put stock in him potentially becoming a three-point shooter. 27% last year was not good enough to be somebody that actually spaces the floor for others, but I wouldn't rule out him becoming a consistent three-point shooter. It's a debate amongst Blazer fans in regards to how many threes should Nurkic shoot. Some people don't want him shooting any threes at all. They just want him in the paint, finishing strong and whatnot, but there is value in Jusuf Nurkic potentially being able to hit threes. You don't want him shooting a bunch of them unless he's, 36, 37%. Then if he shoots 10 threes a game at that clip, it's still a good thing. But I don't think he can shoot that clip on that volume, so maybe a 3 a game, 2 threes a game, I think is fine as long as he's shooting at least 30%ish. If he's shooting below that, he shouldn't be shooting a 3 per game like he did last year when he shot 1 per game. And then I've always liked Nurkic's passing. I think the Blazers need to utilize that a little bit more this season. I would like to maybe see Nurkic staggered a bit with the bench lineup where he can maybe be featured a little bit more as not only a scorer but also a guy that can facilitate and feed guys like a Gary Payton II and a Nasir Little if he's coming off the bench. But also Anthony Simons is going to get staggered with the bench. If Nasir Little is starting, then Josh Hart's also going to come off the bench, and then Justice Winslow is also going to come off the bench. And then if you stagger Nurkic with Simons and those two bench guys, that is the lineup that saw a lot of success last year in a small sample size with CJ Ellaby as the starting 3. You replace him with Gary Payton II, and that group showed to have some chemistry with each other. So taking Nurkic out early, subbing him back with the bench unit, giving him a little bit shorter stints that way where he doesn't have to play so many minutes in a row, and then he gets to play with that group, I think would be a good thing. And then you can tap into the passing and playmaking ability. I just think that if Nurkic has guys that make the right cuts around him, he will find them consistently. He just never had guys that are truly committed to making the right cut. I think this season might be different with some of the players that you have on this Blazers team. So I hope to see some Nurkic dimes to cutters, and I think that that'll be something that's hard to guard, especially when you're paying attention to Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons. As far as sets ran for Nurkic, I think that the Blazers did a good job getting him better low post position last year where he wasn't so far away from the rim, but they also ran some sets that had Nurkic catching the ball around the rim and being able to go straight up because of where he was catching the ball, which I liked, and I think that contributed to his career high percentage from 2. I would definitely like to see more of that. Now, as far as the defensive side of the ball goes, this is kind of a make or break year for Nurkic in terms of him defensively. Now, he's on a 4-year contract, so it's not like the Blazers are necessarily going to get rid of him. He hasn't been put in the easiest position the past couple years, but he also hasn't looked the best. It's been kind of hard to gauge Nurkic's defense with all the defensive breakdowns around him the previous couple of years, which resulted in him basically trying to play defense for everyone. He's not a Rudy Gobert type of rim protector that can make up for everyone's mistakes all the time, but I still think he's an okay rim protector and he's become underrated on that end. Rim protectors don't necessarily have to block a lot of shots. That's a misconception that I see all the time, and Jusuf Nurkic is one of those rim protectors who oftentimes I feel like just plays good positional defense and alters shots and makes opponents miss. Now, last year with the Blazers playing an aggressive defense, they didn't execute it too well, and it resulted in Nurkic dealing with a lot of 1v2 situations where he had the ball handler and the roll man coming at him. And when he couldn't stop both the layup and the lob pass to the big man, Nurkic got a lot of heat, but it wasn't necessarily his fault. Just because you play an aggressive defensive scheme doesn't mean you're supposed to put your big man in that situation. So assuming that the Blazers are going to be better defensively this season, I feel like it'll be easier to get an accurate feel for truly where Jusuf Nurkic's defense is. I thought he was a good defensive center back before his leg injury. Since then, I don't think he's been 100% the same, but I don't think he's been as far off as people act like. But I think you need to see guys around him being on the same page to truly get a feel for that. He's still a good big man in terms of getting steals. He's averaged over 1 steal per game the past 4 years, and I think the Blazers will try and force turnovers this year, and I think Nurkic can be a part of that. It would just be nice to see him blocking more shots than he did last season, where he saw a downtick in that, but I think that was situational, and you can't read too much into block numbers. Some guys chase blocks, and you shouldn't necessarily consider those guys better rim protectors, because oftentimes they'll get themselves out of position as much as they make an impact in terms of protecting the rim. Now, anyway, let's look at some statistical goals for Jusuf Nurkic. The first 4 are efficiency goals. That is for him to shoot 56% from 2, which is right in line with his career high from last year. I want to see him shoot 33% from 3, which is definitely ambitious, but if he's going to consistently shoot 3s, I think his 3-point percentage needs to be around that. I would like to see him shoot 73% from the free throw line. For his career, he's at 67%. Last year, he was at 69%. And then a true shooting percentage of 58% would be nice. That would make him an efficient enough big man. Last year, he set a career high 58.6%. Now, in terms of per 36 goals, I want to see him average 18.5 points per game. He was at 19 last year. This is certainly achievable. 14 rebounds per 36 would be nice. He's at 13 rebounds for his career, but had 14 per 36 last season. And with Jeremy Grant starting next to him in the starting lineup, I think Nurkic is going to potentially have to control the boards even more. 4.5 assists per 36 would be cool. He achieved that mark 2 seasons ago where he averaged 5.1, but last year he was at 3.6. And then I want to see him get 1.5 steals and 1.5 blocks per 36, which is pretty close to his career averages as well. Let me know what you think of these goals down in the comment section below. And that's a wrap for the player preview for Jusuf Nurkic. Let me know what you think about him down in the comment section below. Also, stay tuned for more videos today and a post-game show later tonight after the first preseason game. And with that being said, I'm out of here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.